welcome to the Inner Circle podcast. My name is Master Tim Berlow. I'm joined here, of course, with Master Matt Tracy and Master CJ. I'm not even going to try the last names. And we have a very special guest today. We have Master Tim Thackery, Coach Tim, I call him, who has helped me over the last year come back from injury and kind of reinvent my health and fitness. So I'm very excited to have him here, and I'm excited for a great podcast.
And thanks for having me.
Master Tracy.
So why don't you just start by telling us, for those listeners that don't know who you are, can't imagine there's many, but why don't you give your quick, history of Taekwondo in 5 minutes or less?
In 2033 BC, the Union of the Bear and Tiger made the first gang. Is that correct? Too far back?
I think
Too far back. Okay. So I was on the national team for most of the early 2000s. I got to travel the world, the training center, and some kind of really cool experiences there. I got a gold medal at the Pan American Games and a bronze medal at the World Championships, and then kind of transitioned out. Right? So I thought after I made the Tasmanian Olympic team, I thought, I'm done with sports, I'm done with all this. What's the most opposite thing sports there is? Political science. Yeah, I was like, listen, I'm done with this. Like, I'm gonna do that. You get kind of there. I got there and got me back. That was really cool. I was kind of a professor. But I didn't want to have to get like the stipend from the school to do it and be like a TA. Like, we're all entrepreneurs and I'll make my own money. So I started training kids on my driveway in Taekwondo. And then I had this crew that was like these high-end little competitors, like 11 to 14 years old, that would come in from like 2-3 hours away, 4 or 5 days a week. We had no mats, nothing. It was just like, I'll coach you, and I'll make a couple $1,000, hopefully, and that'll be what I need to do to get through grad school. Then the winter came, it got a little light, a little facility. So again, like, you look back on these ideas and you think, that was so necessary it had to happen, but what a horrible idea that this was. To a little spot, and that would be like, I'd say make money, like take on more stuff and to get through school. And in that time, the team had a spot and we had a couple extra hours to teach some CrossFit, do some fitness stuff. And then that just blew up and took off. And a year later, I was never finished my master's thesis, so I didn't do that. We had a big business and kind of let me into this world here a lot more of being friends with everyone. I thought I would have a team. I thought I would do this, and it morphed into something else that was really cool and unique. But it's helped me work with all the people I really love and care about. All my best friends are people in Taekwondo. I met my wife in Taekwondo, right? Like that's the common thread. There's I get to work with everyone, but not be like on everyone's toes. Where where's Tim opening up a school next? Like, no, I'm here. I can kind of work in a unique way. From there, we took the gym, I sold it, and we took it all online. And I started just helping some friends again. One of my really close friends, Stephen Lambden, had blew out his Achilles when he was on the national team, right, in 2010. He's a big guy. He's like 6'3", 240, solid, heavyweight fighter for a long-time national team. And when he was healing, even he was on his crutches and tripped on like the doorstep. His house and popped the Achilles again. Popped the stitch. So it was horrible. Like that. He sent me what he was doing for like rehab and strengthening. Again, I wasn't really working with anyone in Taekwondo at the time. Okay, this like hot garbage, generic, heavy vest stuff. What are you doing? He goes, well, will you just help me? Yeah, sure. And it was just that. It was like just I'll help a friend do this, and then he did really well. He did make the Olympic team in 2016. Other person was my mom. Like, she was getting ready for the World Kumse Championships. She competed in the 60 and up.
A family of great accomplished athletes.
Yeah, and it was fine. So she had never won. She had medaled once, but no one from the U.S. had ever. Now we see all these medals we get from like World Kumse Championships when we kill it. No one knew what to do back, and we were. I think she had gotten a bronze medal, which is only one to that initial period. And she wasn't going to go. She got sick. It was like almost like a joke I wrote out on my napkin dinner. Here's day one, here's day two, just alternate these two things, please and thank you, right? She do this one. Try to keep it simple, like she's not, right? And 60-some-year-old woman. And she ends up winning the World Kumse Championship. She won 3 in a row. So it was just, again, there was no massive plan. I had a gym. I thought I was out. I was trying to be out. I was going to be in grad school. I thought I was out. I was going to own a fitness gym when I was out. And it's like on lost, like the island keeps sucking you down again, right? I'll get you back to Alice, and then here you are. And it's, I just got to kind of honor that part of like, yeah, I'm a lifer. I guess there's no way out. And, how do I do it now in a way that I enjoy, that's interesting to me, that can kind of help people in a unique way that isn't already being solved. So that's hopefully good enough.
Well, sorry.
You're like a master of pivoting.
Yeah,
Sure. As entrepreneurs, we're naturally more risk takers, but it's still scary. So how did you look at the risk of like, oh yeah, like I guess you start teaching kids in the garage, or do I sign a lease, and how do I exit that? What's your take on risk?
Yeah, I think it only sounds risky to me in hindsight. You look back at these choices, and I'll take you through a few that I've done, and every step of the way, look back at other people, go, that's crazy, that's whatever. But it seems so logical. Like I'm not thinking I'm taking the B side of the deal. I'm like, that's the move. That's the opportunity. That's the blue ocean, as it were, right? It's all, everyone's over here doing this, and I can kind of stand out here. When I was 16, I tried to get foreign exchange in Korea to go train, and they didn't have it. I wasn't good at fighting. Like he said, oh, you come from this family of athletes. Wasn't the case at all. I mean, we had some success on some things. My uncle was a college, I can say gymnastics championship at Cal Berkeley, like in the 70s. So it wasn't like we were, bad. We went, oh, these are the talented. I don't know. I lost every single fight from 15 to 17 years old. First round of the tournament. First round. Not the finals, like round one, done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a little crazy to go. I can make nationals and try to make the Olympics.
So you did that as in like
At 16,
in like the 18 plus division.
Yes. I never made the junior team. I never did. Yeah, I remember when I looked at the training center. I was like, one time I was like the only person that was never on the junior team, right? And they're like, okay, like it's not about it's not about who wins first, who wins last. That's what my thing is keeping going.
Golden nugget for
But I had gone through that period and I quit high school. It was like I just walked in one day with my dad and they said, oh, you mean you want to go on into study? No. We're out. I wanted to train. I moved away and moved down to LA. And the first practice I ever had down in LA in my life.
nice.
So again, these things happen. You're like, it had to be that way. That was what it was, but kind of risky, but it made perfect sense. Like, I want this thing. I want this goal. You have to do these actions. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So I guess in that logical sense, there's no other way that works in my life. Like, you have to do this.
It's like the old idea, if I have plan A and plan B, if plan A doesn't work, I can always fall back on plan B.
Sure.
But most people don't understand, if you only have plan A, you're going to make plan A work.
100%. Yeah, burn the boats and fix your eyes. This is where you're going to look. You start doing that, like that thing where now you're kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just a different lifestyle, a different piece. You can't fly super high if you're trying to also cover your bases. I mean, that's wrong being safe, right? Like in those areas that family members with normal jobs, like I never had a regular job. It wasn't like the thing. I was like, let's do this, right? Probably you guys at 12, we put on our baseball uniforms and went door to door selling candy. That's Costco price. I can make money. I'll just make money here. I'll do something like, hey, we're raising funds for, maybe now you're like, I wouldn't advise my daughter to do that. But at the same time, like when you need that thing, you don't make it happen.
I think it was recyclable.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. I used to set up accounts with my grandfather.
Yeah.
We had an apartment complex with a bunch of tenants, like to drink beer. So I would say, okay, leave your empty bottles out at 12 o'clock on Sunday. And I went to grab them, I put them in the machine.
It's so good. And you have like the product market fit. You know where they're drinking, they're gonna do it at the time. That's like such a skill to cultivate that at the time it feels like survival, maybe you're trying to get by, but you look back at how many interactions you have with your community now. Those skills are so good, right? Doing door-to-door sales was so necessary.
Yeah.
Like, handle rejection. Say no, like here, yeah, exactly. There's going to be a yes somewhere. So so those parts again, the pivots, they've always led to something better. When we sold our gym, people thought we were crazy. We were voted 2-time like gym of the year for our CrossFit gym. And it was a very good bid, still open. I'm sort of proud of that, being still really like burned to the ground.
How long ago did you start?
2015, so
Oh,
10 years. 10 years
What made
ago.
you take that step?
Yeah, a couple things. One, we had been coming from martial arts, and obviously working with a lot of people that you guys work with and directed with, worked with them after, like Master Berlow and your dad, that we love the model of the multi-school piece, and we saw that in CrossFit. We thought, how to do that. I can train instructors, and that's what I do, right? That's what we do for our gym. I develop people, and so we have this big plan of we're going to have a dozen CrossFit gyms. But here's the issue. In CrossFit, they view a divorce as the least cause of marriage. Oh, what was the 2 new marriages? The marriage rate's up. And what's the divorce rate? So at our gym, we had trained personally people that were white belts coming in there to where they could start a gym. The barrier was low, and then there's this part without the respect of martial arts. People go, what do you lift? I lift more than you. It's like, that was that meme. I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
Right? Look at me. Yes, I'm the captain now. Right? That's great. There's a little more to this than that. So we had literally a dozen gyms break off from us all that time and start growing. You can go do your own thing, that's fine. But the idea was we can work together and make this a big thing. Right? I'm not trying to take the A side on this, but it was too easy and too fast for them because CrossFit themselves gets the affiliation fee if that happens. So we're supportive of that to where we're opening up on the same shoes as us. Like literally, you're like, okay, this doesn't work. We put all this effort and time. You guys know we have to run multiple schools, how much resource heavy of a lift that is, right? To do. So then you do that every time you cut that down instead of. So we were proud of how we built it up, and we thought we're working against ourselves pretty hard here to do it. And this opportunity comes of working with people online. It's something that I love. I feel like I have a unique skill set for. I can do where now I'm not self-competing. Now it's not me doing this and you being like, I'm also do this, and now it helps your team to be better. So I get that feeling of success from leverage of when a school owner is in their best health, their best fitness, their best mental drive, all those places are there, their community is better. So I get to help that, and I really do appreciate that.
Well, I don't know if you said it, but what exactly do you do?
So yeah, so I
How would you say your job?
yeah, exactly. That's probably the hardest part of what I do.
I can see a piece of it.
Yeah. Technically, I'd say like I'm a human performance coach or whatever that really means. Like what I do at the core is I try and work with people one-on-one to get them to their best performance state. Now that could be a whole bunch of things. That could be from regular training, nutrition, mindset recovery. That could be from other areas. They're looking at rebuilding someone from the ground up, someone who has, like say Stephen Mann, who was so close to making the Olympics, needed to unlock a couple of pieces here, right? Those are all very different tools under the same umbrella. So, especially for martial artists, I have to really work with people doing their case, like partnership on Zoom.
That's how you do front.
Yeah, 100%. You probably know that when you have someone there. So again, I don't want to step on that line where I'm like, all right, it's good. Let me show you what you're doing wrong. Like, no one knows that.
Yes.
I'm here and I can go, well, hey, if we do this, this will help your hips now, or this is why you're crashing during your class in the evening and your classes have no energy because your fueling's off, or whatever. Right? And look at that. So everything outside of the main activity, I get to help on. So it's all really supportive pieces for that, whether it's performance, longevity, etc. What are those blocks? What things we need to either add or most likely remove in a lot of ways to help you go, I got it. So you get freedom in your life. You don't have to meet me at 5 a.m. at the stairs. Let's go. There, right? I get freedom for my life too. So setting up a place that I enjoy what I do, that's sustainable, doesn't go over here and do this. A lot of people in my situation get stuck in that spot. They have to make money, they don't have freedom. They have freedom, they're not making money.
So I want to ask you, if you could speak, there's like an age-old question, if you could speak to yourself 25 years ago, just kind of getting into it, what would you do differently? What advice would you give?
Just go. I mean, I give myself any different advice. I'm super happy with that. Right? Like, so if you're happy with that, pieces you know that have to happen. There are a couple, I mean, very minute things you're like, I don't know if you should go on a date with that girl. Like, maybe at the same time, like, oh, was that necessary?
Yeah.
That hard part necessary. So we can't just.
But let's get into the athletes for a second. I'm watching, right?
Yeah.
Let's say to the athlete, Tim Thackery.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for him from what you used to do to prepare for a competition and all that, compared to how you would prep for it?
I was very fortunate that our coach was really forward thinking. So a lot of the stuff we were doing 20 some years ago are still like the trails I'm following. I'm like, this was off. It was, I wish we could do more of it. I wish I understood recovery better. I did not understand recovery well. I was of the mindset of, well, our training was good. I mean, our coach, Scott Fuji, was my wife's coach before mine. She always puts out my face. So my team, like, I'm take the B side here, but he got so good at the off, like for like training stuff, training conditioning things, that he literally started training people in track and field. And one of the girls won, I think, the 100-meter gold medal in the last Olympics for hurdles. Like, so, I mean, legitimately, the sport couldn't be more of a divergent piece. And a lot of times in battles, the strength conditioning can be kind of less than effective or less than optimal because they're so good at the sport. Here's a great striker, like, yeah, like, man, I don't know what technique does for the S&C, but the guy's a dog and he can get away with doing some garbage because he's just so good at the sport.
So
Right? You can get away with garbage. And a lot of people do that, and then you get the kind of like the, what's the term? Like the confirmation bias. And now they're doing this is out. Just because you're winning, that doesn't make that balance. Like, in spite of that, better match, you could be here now and doing that. So there's a lot of that out there. People follow, and then it's not a mimic thing. I always thought it'd be funny to like bring my gear to a tournament in a paper bag. To see how many people would follow. That's what he's doing in the paper bag. Yes, the paper bag is the thing. It's such a strong thing because people have real specific knowledge here. So we were great at the training side. The recovery side, I had no clue of it at all. I mean, really little. I just thought, train more. I'll train everything. I'll train this. I'll train negativity in my life. And something bad, when you pick up the girl, let's go train. Let's go do it again. And part of that's good, right? Nothing wrong with that. Hard. Training is systematically breaking our body down. Recovery side, we were about strong. Didn't know that. Didn't know nutrition. No. It was a very icy Taekwondo with practice. I just thought I thought I was Wolverine. I remember thinking, and there's a while that I thought maybe I could take more. 127 pounds for a decade. I was never more than like at the most 5-6 pounds overweight later in my career. So it wasn't like I'm doing it and I'm now 150, 160, right? It's not a struggle. It was like, hey, do it. It's up the next plan.
Then you realize the fuel you're putting in is how you're going to perform. If you're at a better peak, you're going to be even more.
Correct. Why am I under recovered here? What's happening? So I had a lot of like the psychological stuff I felt like very good on. The mind games, because of how bad I was at that as a teen, I had to really learn this stuff the way that I explain like this. You guys have all been to creative training, right? Right? Then we've been to creative training there.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So the way they do it there, and I always wanted to live there, and it turned out it was not the right thing to do it. The way they can train, it's like speaking a native language, right? They just talk. They're not thinking of conjugating verbs. They just do the kick more perfectly. Well, I think about it like tablature in guitar, like fourth fret, third. I have to do it very here to go here. This to me not to memorize every single thing to make a song work, right? So it's a lot of work, and I'm not very good at it. But I kind of play like a little bit of Freebird, right? Yeah, I make it work, and you're like, that's not quite right. That's kind of a lot of the stuff that you didn't know it, but I had to learn those pieces along the way. So, like anything else, sometimes the things that you're not great teaching in your schools or weren't great doing, you're good at teaching. You had to break it down so well. Things are natural. Sometimes you're like, just do the jump kick. Let's go, right? And so because of that, I had to learn all these other parts here to get better. I wasn't a naturally good fighter. I wasn't a naturally good kicker. Any of this, so I had to really break it down. How do I literally not footwork? How does this go? Where I was on the national team, like, it was, I couldn't do a back kick, and not joking, in a fight for like the first 4 years. I was on the national team. So there's things I just like, I think of this, but eventually you break it down enough and you go.
You turn your weakness into your
Yeah,
superpower.
you do. And so that's, and now you see it's part, you see everyone else's stuff, and you go, you struggle with this too, and yeah, I also struggle with this. Okay, I think I have an idea. I can help it. It was like that with nutrition. I didn't know. Eventually, you get a little older. 34, I lost 10 years. Start figuring it out, right? And start going, why is it? What's wrong with me? It's double down. I'm not a little hurt. I can't out-train it. You know, now I'm either injured or I'm out-trained. I can't train. I'm not hurt. That's it. And you have all the other issues, metabolic disease, other things that are going to happen from not being healthy. The flip side is you can't handle that ball, right? And that's where really a lot of my actual work now comes in, is helping people that were formerly very active, very athletic, whatever that role looked like to them, transition now into a professional life where they can do the things they love when they want to do them and honor that for themselves and how it fit their new kind of life and goal.
I think someone like you is so absolutely necessary for our industry. How many of us have seen, you know, I know disrespect, but let's just call it a general term, instructors that could be a little bit, you know, more pink and shade and be a better example. And that's the hard part, especially in our industry, is when you start teaching so much, when you start focusing on the business and then you're running the business, your needs start kind of being pushed away, right? And the importance of being able to keep up with it is so
Yeah.
for your example, for your students. And
Yes.
everybody's-
Yes, that's a term. It's not we call it black belt. It hangs over the mountain belt, right? It's, it's hard to be inspirational, aspirational when you're not happy with yourself. That's a hard place to be. And yes, it is hard. It's that librarian joke. They're around books all day and they go home. Yeah, so there is part of that. So how do we find new meaning in this? Because our goals do change. You get older, and you want to take on new things. How do we use our fitness and our health to both inspire our students and be really good at it still, but also find new adventures, right? I love how your dad thinks. Because like that's, again, it still fits. Being able to do that is still a necessary foundational piece to be great at martial arts. But also it's a new thing to solve a new problem, and that kind of gets us to sit up in our chair a little bit.
He structures his schedule very well. He's always told me this from day one. He structures his activity, he structures his leisure and his entertainment. You know, and for him, it's not watching TV, it's going for a hike, mountain biking, snowboarding, and all this. And then he makes sure that every day he has the opportunity, no matter what it is.
Yes. Yeah, that becomes the non-negotiable, and understanding that that's the fuel, like you personally, your drive is the fuel for the business. I believe that to the core. When we sold the gym, my wife and I sat down. We looked at like the history and go through all your numbers for appraisals and stuff, set the business and stuff. And you can look at it, you can be like, what was happening here? Oh man, we were training so hard, we were so happy. What was happening here on this down month? Oh, we were in therapy a little extra than normal. Right here, we're going through some stuff. Okay, but those pieces, it had nothing to do with the marketing plan at all. It was literally like our drive was great and our personal passion was off the charts. Here, I didn't want to be around anyone touching a barbell at all or doing anything like that. So it was not X and O's, it was that. So if the idea is true, and I think it is, that if a plane is about to crash, who do you put the air mask on first? Yourself. So who's the real fuel for the school? You are. And we're doing it, and everyone does this. I do it, every person. Then until you learn the lesson of not doing it, you go, I have to do this for the business. So I'll take care of it. Right? And we think it's good. We do it in the moment some days, yet there are some days where you have to do that. You gotta get up and things 6 a.m. Like I try not to do any work before 10. I get all my personal stuff done, I work out, sauna,
Sorry, I texted you before that.
You'll see it. Like, I think that's me back like at 1:01 East Coast time. It's 10 a.m. Do my things like now I can get service too, right? I was before because otherwise I get a text and I'll answer it, and now I feel tension with you, right? Because I'm like taking away from my journey. I got to help him, and now I'm not really present. I'm a little pissed. That's not a great place to be when you're trying to do service, right? So I have to be selfish. It's not be selfish. There, you know, it's been the best thing and the best change doing that, right?
Advice.
Yes, right. You do that, you fill your bucket up first. You can't give from an empty well. So what do you got to do? And yeah, it seems weird sometimes. until you do it and you see the trail.
Two is because as martial arts instructors and coaches, we care about others. We want others to benefit from what our actions are during the day. And when we have to, like you just said, step back and realize, I have to be a little selfish, it's actually the opposite of a natural instinct.
Yes.
I mean, that's the part.
Counterintuitive. You guys have heard the term third place, heard this phrase? Third place. So this is in our industry, this is a massive one in my opinion, where things get kind of like crossed. That we have home, right? We have work. And a lot of us, we have our home life, we have work, and then you have Taekwondo school. Now it's like everything was good, no matter how things were, here at school, and it's home and school and Taekwondo school, right? Whatever level of life you're at. It's all good there. It's fun. It's your best friends. It's great. You make jokes. You train hard. You go, I love this so much. I don't want to do anything else. I have to do this. And that third place becomes your second place. There's no third place now. Now you're librarian. I don't want to read a book. You get home, I don't want to train. I taught 6 hours. Teaching isn't training. For yourself, it's important. It's active. It's not easy. It's not easy especially if you're an engaged instructor like I know you guys are. Not easy, but it's not training. It's not at all. I mean, even tomorrow when I'm presenting here at TED Professionals.
Shout out.
Yeah, right. There, I'm up at 7:30. I'm up at 7:30 on East Coast time. I just got in, which is, I still have to get up and do my work first. That's just like, it's gonna be a crappy workout. Yeah, but it's not the same. I worked out here. No, you didn't. And talk, right? Did a few stretches. But even though my workout will stink tomorrow, I have to do it. That's non-negotiable. I have to do something for myself here, or then I'll have a little bit of resentment of like, I can do it. But I know for me, I'm 45. My youngest daughter is 3. I'll be 6 when she graduates high school. And I want to be the old dad who stinks. Where they're like, is that your grandpa? Right? No, that's my dad. Oh gosh, he used to be cool. He shows me old fights. Like, right? I'm gonna show you my old fights. Like that's what I'm gonna do with my daughter. Talk about things I did 40 years ago. Like it's not really a great passion of life to do. So. I'm not gonna be a super old dad.
Really fast. It's important. You said, I'm gonna do it. It's gonna suck. I'm still gonna do it. So I think it's important for people to understand. Like, it's not always gonna be, you're not always gonna have the best workout of your life, the best training session, but doing it is what's important.
Correct. Most training sessions should be unmemorable. It should be
I'm not
unmemorable.
making PRs every single time.
At all, almost never. They don't, because it's not about that. Workout for me and fitness, all these things are mental health, right? They are taking care of this first, which fuels everything else. You find those things you need to do to be at your best. Why would you stop doing it? You can't. Like you owe it to your community and everyone else for you to be at your best. And we know if we're at 80%, your community is getting maybe 80% of you. And if that's what we think they deserve, then go do it. There, you can tell me all the numbers. Well, we did this month, we did this. Hear people say that. Great. Is that also impact? Is that the maximum impact of what you want, right? Anytime there's a business transaction going down, I want people to feel like they're getting the A side of the deal, right? Let's say you charge $1,000 a month. I got $1,000 a month student. Great. Do they feel like they're ripping you off? Like this should be $4,000. This should be like, man, I'm getting this much value from here. You can't believe it. So if so, then great. I want both people to have it. And then it's sustainable, right? But if we're not at our best, we're doing these things, we're kind of getting by. That person who now has to crush it. And not saying Red Bull's bad, but if that's what you get into the day of like, I crush Red Bull, go teach some practice, go do this thing, I'm over here. Those things put us literally in a sympathetic, stressed mental state. Right? We have our parasympathetic state, that's our rest and digest, where everything's cool, we eat, we talk, and it's fun. Sympathetic is where you are in fight or flight. And most people live their days in fight or flight. Suppresses our immune system, suppresses digestion. So now, inside protein well, which is for recovery that we're talking about, we're not up. What do people say when you're stressed? They say, go take a breath. No, you're not up. You're either you can't be there 24 hours a day, man. And when you are you at your best when you're stressed? Are you the best in your relationships when you're stressed? You're a girl or your guy or whatever, right? You're not with your staff. You're like, hey, we gotta do this, come on. It's not the best you.
And then when you need to be, you can't maximize the
That's the point. Look at this guy.
Oh, tell me, totally.
Throwing golden nuggets.
It's like that. Remember on the office, like, I can raise my blood pressure. Oh, and Jimmy goes, why would you raise your blood pressure? So I can lower it. Stress. You need to lower it. Why? Because if someone's kicking your face, guess what you should do? You should move.
Yeah.
You should be able to raise it, and that is being in that sympathetic state when you need to be on. There, it's on. But it's because you can shut it down, not because your only tool is like capping parts, go, go, go. Feels good for a day, good for a week, and then all of a sudden, you realize it's 10 years of that. You look and now the side effects come. Lowers your basal metabolic rate, lowers your digestion, all these things happen. So now that extra little bit of carbs, people go, I just don't eat this. Why can't I have this? Our body adds in more stress, our body wants to hold on to that. There, it doesn't digest or use it well because now you're not active, you're not training, you're not taking care of yourself. You don't process them as well. And now you're a little pissed. Now you're staff meeting, but you're pissed because you didn't take care of yourself. So see that cycle there, and it's so low, but I see it so clear. I mean, for me, I'm like, yeah, that's not the best version of you when we're there. I'm guilty of it too. I'm not like, oh, this is Tim, who's a monk. Like, Tim's a maniac sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, right? We all deal with struggle with these things and have stuff, but how quick can we catch it and turn it back, right? Younger me, it was like, it took this long. Newer me is like, okay, I probably might not have an apology.
Yeah. Makes so much sense, all the questions that I would answer.
Yes, right?
You would ask me every day, right at the beginning, doing the coaching. It would be, how's your stress? Scale of 1 to 10. How's your sleep? On a scale of 1 to 10. Unfortunately, it was sleep for that period of time. I was saying, but then we talk about it, get better sleep, magnesium, shout out magnesium.
Shout out, magnesium.
And then I just, over that time, really getting that in my mind, it makes so much sense. It makes so much, when you're recovered, when you're feeling optimal, you can produce more results.
Yes.
And I think from your program, shout out to him. I think if I were to say a testimony, it would be not just better physically, not just better recovered with my injury, but everything in life has amplified, business and everything. So I say thank you.
I want to quickly add to this for the viewers that don't know. So Master Berlow, I'm trying to say it right.
You said it right.
Everyone's flaming me. Everyone's flaming me.
Yeah, they comments like,
Yeah,
People are saying that you speak French.
I know.
Don't you say my name.
This man here. Well, I'm not gonna name again.
You guys can't see each other's
Yeah. Hey,
I just shout out to the Chicos. That's how I remember.
So, he had an injury, and from knowing him for a few years, I could see like every time I would interact with him, we would be on Zoom calls. I could see his energy, his like, he's a naturally positive guy, but I could just see he was wearing on. And as soon as he started training with Coach Tim, I could see his whole energy and positivity started going back up, and now just exuding out of him now. So, for the viewers, I don't know if you know the gems that are sitting here and talking, because this is really a special treat.
That's life changing, it's because, going back before what you were saying about you grow up, you train, you're younger, you're a teenager, you become faster. You don't have to really think about it, but it's not like that. Say the last 5 years, I'm not the same as I was, doing bodybuilding. For sure.
Yeah. And we think that's reality. It's part of the way we train. We think that's just how it is. And the amount of people, and I've done this myself, I work with, before they call, no one calls me first. Right? I'll just test off the plan. Go for it. Like, it's it. If it works, it works. I'm not a hater. Like, if that works, if you're just in work for you, you're in optimal health, optimal mind, keep doing it, right? Like, they do it, and they're like, it's not working. And we go 2 ways. It becomes apathy or aggression. Right? Apathy, why can't I do this? I get some big piece of what? Or I haven't done the hard enough now, I should do it more. And the difference is that me, Tim, at 20 years old, or 21 when I was at the local training center, had no girlfriend, no job. They paid me to train, they fed me, they housed everything. I just trained, so there's no lifestyle stress at all. Think about that now. Think about having a snowmobile. That's wild, right?
Yeah.
Wild.
It must be nice.
Yeah, it's a weird experience, right? So you have nothing. So all they can do now from a training standpoint, training is a certain volume of stress, trying to do an organized regimen of stress to give to someone, right? Your white belt curriculum, It's technically a regimen of stress. They can do this much, and they know they can hold this for 5 seconds and you're good, right? Black belt doesn't cut stress. It's hard, as it should be for them to do it. That's how we grow. So that's why those things we say, those experiences are necessary. Those are stressors that help us grow too, right? But now look at it in schools. You have staff. You're doing this, you're buying property, you're doing all these other things that are amazing. Those fill out that file with stress now. You get engaged. That stress, injury, stress. And if that file is this big and it's filled up with this much stress, we find that same training stress before, it overflows. The term literally is called distress, like Mayday, Mayday. The positive side is called EU-stress, eustress. That's where our body can positively adapt. What people don't see is that now training is this much of the stress. And all we're trying to do is get it to like life spark. We get that, that gets everything to start going now, right? Or think about lifting when you're younger. You're in good shape. You just relax. Oh, let's go more. Now it's like, if you get that last rep in reserve, you get it. And now it's like, okay, get on protein, get on food, everything else has to tripwire to get that back. It's really a recovery game. What's enough to get that to start? Everything else is bring it back. It's not enough. The old training days of, say, just with the Koreans, that was the popular thing, the 8-hour training sessions.
Oh, yeah.
After 2 hours, were you getting any better physically, really? No, and there's other things that benefit from that. There's nothing wrong with hard work on that. Like, oh, we're all adult snowflakes, we can't go too hard. Some days are important to get your butt handed to you. But at some point, this is overkill. We're just getting the snot right out of this and whatnot. So,
Recovery's not gonna be good.
100%, right? So we need to now, you got 15, sure. 45, it's a harder game. Yeah, do it. So when people start to see that of like the lifestyle stress differences, the training stressors make a lot more sense in that context. But no one knows because we just think that was reality. I was training for bodybuilding show again, broke my back. And for bodybuilding show, right? We go, ooh, oh my God.
Probably contributed to it.
100%, right? The underlying pieces, yeah.
So, I tried to go, I remember trying to go back to the exact same regimen. And I'm like, man.
It's maladaptive. It actually backfires, and that's where we go. I call it the negative athlete mindset. It goes like this: if you wake up one day and you're a little unhappy and you're kind of unsure why, you don't know. So you look in the mirror, maybe you go for a run, something's off, and you're like, okay, this stinks. So you try and you got the training plan. Either you do it and it stinks, you're embarrassed you can't do it right, or you do it and you don't get the application. One of the two happens. Now you get apathy or depression. Now it becomes psychological. It's physiological. Now you go, you're a big piece of crap. We can't do this. What happened? I can't believe you let this slide. You spent all this time working on this and this, and now you don't have the health. You should get your health back. Right? You can't get it back. Now this is not working. So now you start talking trash to yourself here. Next day you double down more on one of them, and that goes on infinity until we get solved before. Choose their mindset. Find a new passion of this that helps us. Sometimes it is, hey, we need to have a test or something to kind of get us to sit up. Sometimes it's totally different. It's like most people, you guys have all competed in Taekwondo at some point in life, right? Most people have never competed over their health or even know that's a possible thing to do, right? People have never competed over their biomarkers, over an in-body score, an DEXA score, right? Over consistency. How consistent can I be? Can I do 4 days in the gym for 6 months in a row? Like, not crazy. I don't say it to do David Goggins, but there are all these ways to compete over health that don't have to be where you make your life small. You don't have to be where date night's in them. Right? Date night should be a yes. I know. But me at 20, date, I was like, Friday night, no, I have practice tomorrow. You're like, no, it's over. That's because training was different than my lifestyle. My lifestyle supported training. Now it's different where training has to support your lifestyle.
It's a big flip.
A big flip. It's small, it's massive. Once you get that, you know, okay, well, training isn't the main driver of everything, and I can't solve it all with training. Well, I love training. So how these two things seem opposed, but they're not. Now that training has this space here, it's important. Still probably one of the most fun parts of my day. So look forward to it every day, but it's not at odds now with me playing with my kids. I can't go for some mess up my work. You know, like,
I think a lot of people like in your position who are competing at like a high level, they live in these worlds of extreme.
yes.
have to be either A or B. Whereas, no, you can work on C, you got, right? On the small steps in between to get these close.
Absolutely, it's necessary. I mean, it's back to that. Think that part of our life. Feel all it is. It's this. I'm only gonna do this, or I'm not gonna. Like, I had a hard time after I finished fighting and my career was over, taking other activities seriously. I competed, we owned CrossFit, and I competed at like the regionals, like the last step before the CrossFit Games. And I trained hard, but I couldn't take it seriously. It's like in ways that I know how to get ready for college. I know what to do. And I was like, it doesn't really matter. Just because it wasn't, my heart wasn't in it the same way. I competed in weightlifting and qualified for the national championships. And got to actually back to the training center and train with their weightlifting team.
Wow.
But then I could never really be like, yeah. So I did find something, for me, it became snowboarding. It's part of why I love snowboarding so much. It fits all the things for me that now make it better. We look at these parts as the basic support. Our training, our nutrition, our mindset, our recovery, everything underneath that, metabolic health, hormonal health, etc. Right? Our body, right? All those parts are the base. But they're not sexy, they're not fun. Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe we are, because it is real fun. Great. Try some of the days, great. Well, people aren't super stoked on that. People don't love training or health or fitness, they love what it does for them. So we have to have some sort of leverage. So for Taekwondo, what's the leverage we have with students? What's the testing date, right? What's the star on the uniform? What's the little piece there? What's the tournament date? And there's 4 things that kind of, we have the goal, we have some sort of guide, we have a plan to it. That's testing, right? That's your the public knowledge that you're going to be testing next year. Is it confirmed yet?
Well, yeah, actually, it's
Unbound.
Grandmaster Berlow, he would say, if you want something, put it out on Facebook.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We have to do this. We need that out there.
Get it out.
We never have to really do it. We're never really accountable. The only track next time is people give the congratulations before it's earned. They're like, great. You're like, no. So I was talking to my daughter about this. They were training for a state championship track. Yes, people are gonna say it's great, but you can't have that because then you get all the praise. You haven't competed yet. Yeah, discipline means I've worked before we do that. So understand those parts that we have the goal on a test for 6 weeks. You have a plan. You don't know what to congratulate. You know what
I was thinking of skipping 6, 7, maybe going back.
and then just we'll tell you have on the
Yeah.
So
Go on Amazon,
you
good.
show up to the school, you don't just do whatever. We do who's there fighting, you have some sort of plan, right? You have a guide, you have like master instructors, master instructors, who's a day. You can't say a week before 6-10 testing. Guys, a little bit of a tough weekend, maybe back 2 weeks, so I'm ready. Hey, but team trials, I'm like, really, if I could just cut weight in 2 weeks, this would be one to do. So we need that appropriate thing. So for snowboarding, a goal. I want to ride. Been trying to do it for the last 2 years, and every time is not open. It's Jackson Hole Mountain. It is my favorite mountain in the world, and there's 2 Corbett's Club.
Oh,
That's the toughest inbound land in North America. And yeah, exactly. I just want to make it down in 1 piece.
I'm not bad.
Right. Yeah, plan. There's things I work on. I actually have a snowboarding coach. One of my really good friends. Shout out to Joey Sparklady, Jackson Hole. Big go. He's a dude, Joey's a dude. And then a deadline. I have dates where I book the trip. Nice. There, whether it's open or not, they have to rope off for safety issues a lot of times. Right? If they're on the right snow or something, or they're bullshit.
That's easy.
Yeah.
I would want to do that.
You would love to do it on top. So there's all these variables, but it's that same formula. So if we know the formula, now I can create leverage of it. Well, if I have a ticket spot, I'm trying to do this thing. Well, I better be in good enough shape. I'm not a good enough snowboarder to just show up and ride Corbett's. I better be resilient. My body better work right, energy, that's mind focus. I can't be all stressed out getting up there. And now our perception changes when we're stressed. Now up there, you've been to Corbett. Have you been on the side yet?
No, absolutely.
Just looking over the edge, things tighten in your body. Very right. It's there. Just looking over it. Okay, that's I have a photo of me just trying to peer over. nuts. It was like when I first saw it.
So you were there, but you didn't do it?
I've done it many times. No, I've been there many times, hasn't been open. The first time I got there in 2018, it was open the first day, and I thought, okay, look at my legs underneath me. I wasn't ready. I was never ready. So it's go, right? So it's, you see it, you don't go, but I wasn't ready. We talked about like what is health to me. I can do what I want to do when I want to do it with no restrictions. For me, that's what that means. You can't do that. I can say you're not healthy. And so for there were those moments where I thought, was I in optimal shape? I was not. Clearly, because I couldn't do, I didn't do, no, you can go. So my cheetahs don't have to warm up for you. Now, not warm up every day, probably not. But we're saying most days you're just doing the work and you get it in, it's unmemorable. It's there. I wish I would have got it. Because every other time it hasn't been. I was there with a big group that from Brazil that we go riding without Jackson. He got there before me. He wrote it down. I was taking the big red train up. So I've been trying, but it's that level that look what it makes me do, how I talk about it, and I'm so excited. It bleeds over now when I want to train. I'm training with that in mind. When I want to eat food, I'm not just eating food, it has purpose now. Those base layer things have acute focus and purpose. When we have that, the bleed over is massive.
I also want to have a bachelor party there.
Good, yes,
That's what we're talking about, man.
Totally.
Yeah, real quick, you just said that. I thought I was ready, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
What do you think were the key elements missing?
Yeah, great. I had thought I could just do average things and be in shape. Coming from the gym, there was that period where we were done, and I thought, I can just go for walks and I'll snowboard and do this and I'll be healthy. Like, other people do that. I had always felt like I, part of it for fighting, definitely was by necessity. Part of it for the gym felt a little personal, but also business-wise. You had to be in certain shape to do that. You can't have the black belt in that industry even more to do it. That is the business, right? So there's a little bit of like, I don't have to do that right now. I myself off the. I remember I was hiking up this one area at Kirkwood up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. I was hiking up at this place. I was so cooked doing it that now I couldn't have that experience. My legs were full, like running through them. I couldn't do it. I had to wait an hour at the bottom. So now I'm missing out on the experiences that I want because I didn't do the work on front end, right? So the option is you can do that, and then I have friends that I won't go snowboarding from. I'm very particular about who I get to go with. I have some friends I've grown up with. We went to a big snowboarding trip and ski trip for some of them, and they do a few runs, hit the bar, do there, and I'm thinking, and my wife, there's a lot of things. We have 2 kids, and we have to put on hold or rearrange for me to go get to do things I want. I have to be here. So it's not fair to her if she's like, how's the mountain? Cool, I did a few runs inside of the bar. You need to just go to the bar, just go to the bar. Don't wrap it up into this disguise. If I can go into for me to train and really then, I can have fun. I'm not saying you have to be a month, but do the first thing first. Go hit what you're there to do. And so for me, when I arrive, I try and go bell to bell, opening bell and closing bell. No stops, all day.
See posts on Facebook.
That's what I try to win the leaderboard every day. See, that is now competition, that thing that I can do that I drive towards. But it's from this. And now trying to kick when I want to kick. I can kick when I want. I'm in good enough health and shape to do basically all the things I want. Am I going to make a national team again? Not really. I don't think I know. Like, I'm 45.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The team fighters are very good nowadays, so I don't want to gas myself up. You still got the chance. Like, oh, we know what it takes. It's hard. But again, can I do well for me at the level I need to? I think so. So it's that idea carrying over now back into martial arts here. That is my martial arts training in a sense. I still feel at the core, even though I don't kick, say, every day. The way I lift weights, we do that. It's like, this is going to help your Taekwondo. This is going to help these pieces. It helps you be a better person, better focus. And for me, at the core, that's like, I don't get too corny, that's like real martial arts. It's who you are inside and out.
Yeah.
Not necessarily if I put a uniform on, I take it off, now I'm this guy. So that's just who you are. I think at the best level, there's no difference. You're not this person on stage, I get back, and I'm like, enough of this fitness stuff. I want to hear, right? Hopefully you're congruent, right? The things you teach your students are the things you move on. You're not doing it because that just leads to like and upgrade or upsell. It leads to upgrade or upsell because that's the real path. And now it's back that into both sides of the line and it all works. That's great. Yeah, it's awesome.
You guys just heard a whole bunch of great gems coming from Coach Tim Thackery today. I mean, my gosh. So it's just.
I'll keep talking forever, but I think we gotta wrap it up for sure. How can people learn more about you, get in contact with you?
Yeah, great. Two easiest ways. One on my website is timthack.com, or you can just do Instagram @timthack. Try to keep it easy. This is going to be the easiest ways to do it.
We'll have that in the description now.
Yeah, great. Throw me a message. I would love to talk and just to send you stuff, a bunch of free things. Back to those things we didn't know. I tried to make a bunch of guides on physical nutrition to make an essential guide to nutrition for Taekwondo. It's a 100-page ebook. You can get for free. My practice, go grab it, please. Again, it's the stuff that we didn't know, how we help the new generations have it so they can learn these lessons faster and they'll get to high because fiddling around learning what a protein does. You know, right? That'd be exhausting.
Well, thank you again. And until next time, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, you guys look good. You guys need it? Oh, man. You guys are awesome. Sweet.
That was so awesome.